Okay, well, we're here today to promote the event on Wednesday, which is the protest in Cairns. And the protest is against the crime legislation in the state. The crime legislation in the state has become favourable to the offender and not to the victim. And also, most importantly, to the majority of us who are really trying to do our best, work hard and to be a good citizen. The legislation that we have in place at the moment absolutely favours the criminal, and their protection is being empowered by this government and by various governments around the world. So the human rights of the citizen is being taken away, and it's being taken away through an appropriation of money by Treasury, and it's being taken away by laws that are being passed by politicians that no longer work for the common person. They're now working for an apparatus in the government that is about managing their own interests and managing their own risks and opportunities. And the citizen is just a way of making additional money and creating benefit for that group. That's the broader context of what we're talking about when we talk about why these laws in Queensland are so toxic and they're so bad. So that's what I wanted to say about that issue specifically. It's important that the Cairns community come together and all of our supporters come together around the crime issue, because it affects everybody. Whether you're a primary victim or whether you're a secondary victim or whether you've had a grandparent or anyone else that's been impacted by crime in one way or another, you are an interested party in this particular protest. So we invite you all to come out on Wednesday in Cairns so that we can actually send a very strong message to the Queensland government that we want a number of specific solutions to be put in place. And one of those is going around Cairns at the moment as a petition. That petition has been put together by an extraordinary group of people in Cairns, and they're on the hustings. And if you see them coming around Cairns in the shops or on the streets, please sign that petition, because that petition deals with three things. One is we need to ensure that we've got a remote facility, an education and employment academy that's built purposely for these serious offenders, and that facility achieves two objectives. The first one is that it takes away the danger and the exposure to criminality and put them into a remote area where our grandparents, our wives, our daughters and our children are not put in harm's way by these criminals. So that's the first thing. That's the key part of that petition going around. The other important element is that if we don't allow that facility to be built and we don't reject the new detention centre proposal by the Queensland government in Cairns and Townsville, if we don't reject that, then what we're saying is that the government can simply go ahead and create another set of criminals over the next generation so that they can lock them away in another detention centre. So detention centres being built at the moment is a clear indication that this government has failed, and failed miserably, in protecting the community. So the new detention centre is really a Trojan horse in this community, because their real agenda is to turn the community into a virtual prison so that they can reduce incarceration rates in those detention centres, which they claim they're now having to build new ones. Now, if you don't get the nuance of what's being explained there to you, then there is evidence and there's information that the members of the Cairns community and all over Queensland for that matter are welcome to come along to the forums and to the education, the awareness programs that are available, so that we can share this knowledge with as many people as we possibly can. So we invite you all to come out to the protest on Wednesday and to share in our concerns about the way this government is treating us all as second-class citizens and a commodity for people around the world to take all of the goodwill and all of the value that we provide as great people in this world for their own profit and their own benefit. The crime issue is the watershed issue. It is the issue that is dividing our community. It's an issue that's dividing all Australians, and we need to unite and come together to fight this scourge of this crime and the unfortunate reality that our politicians are not leading and representing the community how they once did, how the culture and the tradition of our egalitarian society and our democratic nation, that culture and that tradition has been thrown down the toilet because the politicians in our government have been captured by an extraordinary power that only the people can solve. Only the people of the world in democratic societies have the power to stand together and be united around the fact that we're all human beings, that we all have at the centre of our heart and soul the ability and the desire to love one another. Love is what is important as a core value to bring us together to fight against the hate, the destructive policies that are coming through our political system, taking away our freedoms, taking away our dignity, taking away our self-respect, and creating an affliction in all of our hearts about who's to blame. And you can be guaranteed it's not children that's to blame, but it's the system that's using our children as a pawn, using our people in our community as a pawn to be able to divide us and to have us to hate one another. We cannot allow this type of policy, we cannot allow this type of an agenda to make its way into the hearts and souls of our citizens. So please, if you're listening to this message, please come out on Wednesday in Cairns at the Cairns Convention Centre right here behind me, and let's protest. Let's send a clear, united voice to the politicians in Queensland and across the country in Australia that the people of Far North Queensland, we're not going to take it anymore. We're sick and tired of the crime, and we're now coming together in a united way to have peace and freedom. A place that we all want and we all deserve, to be the kingdom that we all live on in this Mother Earth that we must respect and we must treat with dignity as well. So please, come out on Wednesday and support us all. Thank you very much.